on Simple Conversations. We are recording this live, and I cannot believe it. Well, I can believe it, but I can't believe I'm doing it. It's a testimony of growth and new directions and new beginnings, and I'd really love to have more of these live videos. You are not joining this live video because um, it's an experiment. It's my first one, and I want to see how YouTube works when it comes to um, live videos and how it operates. So I cannot invite you, but what I'm gonna do is on the next one, you are definitely gonna be invited, and everybody's gonna be inside. Oh my gosh, somebody's here! Wow, guys. Hi, more blessing. How are you doing? I know this is such a big surprise, but yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, first of all, thank you so much once again for 10,000 subscribers. We are on 10,138. And so we're joining Shavi. Welcome, Shaman. And I'm absolutely in love with the growth that we have. I hope by the end of the year we can do 15,000 and more. Oh my gosh, there's so many people here. I thought nobody was going to be here. So I'm so happy to see you guys. Yes, this is a live episode of Simple Conversations. And I'm doing a live because I want to do more of these in the future. So if you want to interact, welcome to the live experiment. You are within the experiment. Now, for today's episode, obviously we don't have the simple conversations. Hi, Rarashe, how you doing? But yes, simple conversations. And in today's episode, I am talking about something so simple, but something so taken for granted, and that's gratitude. Gratitude. Why am I so grateful? Because I survived. I almost died. That's what I can say. I had a very near death experience, very traumatizing. And this is the first time I'm speaking out about it after having been quiet and having been healing for a while. So I just thought to come back and start my return to simple conversations with this story and why it's so important to always be grateful for the things that we come across in life. So let's get into the story. Remember the last time when I was supposed to do an episode of Simple Conversations? And then I came with a message and I said, oh, guys, I can't come. I can't have an episode this week because my grandma had passed away. May she rest in peace. And I had to spend time with family. I had to go to the family events. And yeah, that's why I couldn't come to do my episode that week. That was the week I'd scheduled to restart Simple Conversations from the break I'd been on. Ndobva, taenda kupi paya? Kumusha. So it was me, my husband, my sister, and my best friend and her husband. And we decided, you know what? Ande Kumusha. You know, it was so nice for me to actually have my best friend and her husband to come with me because I was like, you know, guys, I'm not doing that so much. You know, shout out to my bestie. She knows herself. Yes. And we set out. We were going. We went to Kumusha Kwangu, and I come from Honde Valley, which is in Manicaland. That's where I know, that's where I went on my holidays. So whenever you go down there to Honde Valley, know that I'm a girl from around there, and if you want to know a couple of things, we can link up. So we went to Honde Valley, but then because there was a funeral, obviously, and I just wanted my friends to be comfortable because it's nice to be hospitable. Is that the word? And then we decided to book a B&B. But the B&B was not in Honde Valley, it was in Nyanga, Julius Dell. I'm not going to say the name of the B&B for purposes of other purposes. I do want to protect them despite having had a near-death experience with them. I do want to protect this establishment, so I won't be telling you their name. but it is located in several parts of what's it called, of Nyanga. And please confirm that you can hear me clearly to everybody who's here. So so yes, we booked a B&B, and my friends and I was staying at the B&B. So takaenda tikadipa tikacheka in, and my husband and my best friend's husband vakazotera later in the evening because we had decided kuti oh, my husband had a show actually. So my husband had a show and he needed company. He was still going to come maneriwayo kuma AMs, but he needed company. Oh, thanks, more blessing. Thank you. So he needed company, so he decided to come with my best friend's husband, and I was in the car, in my own car, with my sister and my best friend. So yeah, we booked the B&B. Three girls, tashika ba B&B. Oh hi, thank you for this and that and that. Oh lovely. Tatenderedzwa mumba tarakidzwa. This is the fireplace. Can I put a fire on for you? In fact, takasvika atobadza moto. And we were so happy about kuisirwa moto because it was cold. You know, Nyanga in winter, it was quite cold. Madezi wayo, it was still pretty cold. Ndobva taita sei, ndobva tato, settle down and everything, but we still had to go kunhamo because tansati tasvika takangosvikira kuB&B, ndobva tati tonosiya mabag and then tozoenda kunhamo. And then we got to so we left actually. We left the B&B and everything went well. Takatoenda tikanopinda kwahonde, tikanochema, tikanodi, ndobva tadzoka. Around about the time yatakadzoka, it was about 1 a.m. in the morning. Because vakomana vangu vakusvika, my husband anga atobva kuHarare. And they were arriving at around, I think they arrived at around 1:30. Arrived, and then ndobva tadi paya, ndobva tato receive my boys, and then we asked the caretaker tibadziro moto because it was cold, and ndobva atibadzira moto, everything was fine. Ndobva actually akabadza moto vakomana vasati vasvika. Hi Mildred, how are you doing? Welcome. So caretaker akabadza moto. Okay, if you're just arrived, I'm doing a live and a story time. A live as an experiment, story time to get the story going, because we're not gonna do this is Simple Conversations. If you're here for the first time, this is Simple Conversations. We have so many things that we do here, so if you're new here, take a moment after this video to look at our old videos, and you can catch up with what I do here and who I am. Okay, so the boys arrived after moto wabatidzwa, and tobva watosvika, mubva taita madrinks, mubva tabuda panze, mubva tamboita shisha, because my rules pamba ipapo anonzi don't smoke inside the house. So tobva tabuda panze, mubva taita zveshisha yedu, and then tobva tadzoka because it was cold and mumba mune moto, mubva tadzoka. So takangotakura shisha yedu, mubva tangoigadzika next to, like munhu akangoitakura into the house, put it next to her. And then we gathered around the fire, pushed a couch toward the fire, gathered around the fire, and we basically had our drinks. I actually went to bed earlier than others because I was so tired. I went to bed, and then everybody else, just finished their drinks and eventually went to bed. I don't know what time other people went to bed. They say they went to bed around 3:30. I went to bed at around 2:30. So from this moment is where things took I was going to say a U-turn, but a really big turn. So what then happened was, ini ndakadipa ndakambomuka kunenge kwangwa kuma 5:30ish, ndikonzwa kwa 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 kwa. So it sounded like a fire. Ndobva ndati muhope mangu, because ndandarara kana 2:30 and this is probably 5:30. Ndikati you know what, maybe caretaker atomuka akatisira moto, so let's what, I mean, that's nice, but we don't need the fire yet, it's too early. And then I went back to sleep, and then I don't know how long after I woke up again, and this time the noise of the fire was really loud. Like you could hear kuti pane moto uri kubvira somewhere, but it's not a small fire, it's a huge fire. And I'm thinking, who's burning things? What's happening? I'm like, could the house be on fire? Nah, bruh. But this whole time my eyes were closed. I was like, "Eh, it sounds like motor viram lounge, but who would put motor viram noise lounge?" And I was just, in my sleeping state. But then I just decided to open my eyes, and guys, the room was pitch black, not nerima, but ne smoke. And that was the moment it clicked, it hit me. The house was actually on fire. I looked up and there was black smoke. Like it wasn't exactly on me yet, but there was like a film of smoke and it was really close by. And as I'm getting up and, saying, Keen, wake up, wake up, I'm hearing my friend on the other end of the house saying, Guys, wake up! The house is on fire! And in another room, my sister, Guys, get out! The house is on fire! I'm like, Keen, imba. And King is getting up and like, now when you get up and you sit up, now your head is in the fire and there is this huge, depressing smoke that you just then inhale completely. Because past, would say, no float and but now when you now get up, now you're in the fire. Now you're getting up to look for clothes. I turned on my torch, my phone torch, and there was nothing. I couldn't see anything. Up and a torch. That's how dark the smoke was. It smelled like treated wood. Have you ever passed by in Rimboine treated wood? That's what it smelled like. It smelled like chemicals. It smelled like wood, like burning wood. It smelled like oil, but like a terrible type of oil, like mukwa oil on overdose. It just smelled terrible. And I couldn't breathe. We couldn't breathe, and we're looking for now. Me and my husband, we sleep in the nude. So now we're now looking for clothes while we are not wearing noodles, and we're now looking for clothes. We can't breathe. We're coughing, and then we're like, we need to get out of here. But the smoke is definitely coming from the direction in the exit yedu kune door. So the first thing we then think about is opening the window. Tobva tadipaya bva taenda kunovhura window and pane burglar bar. By that time, my friend's husband was outside because they had jumped out of their window already, and they were now on. My friend's husband was now on our side of on our window and calling out, "Guys, are you okay? You need to wake up! Get out! Get out! Get out!" And then Keen opens the window, and then they realize with pane burglar bar, and we are like, "Oh my gosh!" For that 5 to 10 seconds, we're like, "Oh my gosh, we're trapped! We're panicking." I'm looking for something to wear. I find something to wear. Keen finds shorts, and then we're like, okay, we need air. We open the window, through our window. The first thing we did was to put our heads outside of the burglar bar to breathe in some fresh air. Guys, that smoke smelled like, I don't know, it was terrible. I know, but it was terrible. It was that terrible. And then now we realize, okay, we've gotten a breath of fresh air, but now we need to get out of here. How do we get in? So my husband and my friend's husband vakabva vatanga kudhonzerana chibagla bar kuti vazame kuribvisa, and it fought. It stood its ground because it's a bagla bar. It stood its ground, but eventually vakazoita se vakazoti kwanisa kuridzupura, and that's how I got out. And then I go outside, I'm seeing my friend is on the floor, she can't move. It's like my leg. And I'm like, wait a minute, where's my sister? Then I go back, Kamisha, Kamisha. It's like, I'm here. And then by that time, Bankuru had then also realized her. I call my friend's husband Bankuru because yes, he's my husband's older brother. So Mkanzwanshiti Bankuru, I mean him. And he goes to my sister's window, and then they can't, like, her burglar bar has got. So our burglar bar had wood on the frame, so that's how the frame gave way, because yangaria wood, and the house was pretty old, so the wood yagaba. But on my sister's window there was concrete, so they couldn't do the same, and they had to smash the window and get her out through like a little cubicle of the window. She actually had like scratch marks for squeezing out of a tiny, but she managed to squeeze her way out of the window, and now everybody was outside. Now we're thinking, oh my gosh, Redu, and that's around about the time when the caretaker also now arrived near hosepipe, and then the neighbors had also realized kuti pane zviri kuitika kumba uko, and then yoyo yacho yakazongomutsa vanhu, and eventually people came with buckets and everything. I wish I could attach the. Let me see if I can find this on my. I need to show you the pictures so that you can believe what I'm trying to tell you guys, because it was a wonder. The house was on fire. Basically, a huge house fire erupted, and late. Let me go on with my story. So, okay, so what should we do? If zvinhu zvichiri stuck inside my phone, my everything, and then ndobva I'll find it for you. I'll find it for you. Ndobva tanhingirikini. Okay, let me call my sis. Kamisha, can you bring my iPad? Okay, so it's coming. So munhu wese happens, and then now the boys are like, you know what, we need to get our stuff. Then King goes back into the window, pulls things out, our suitcases, everything that he could pull out in the smoke. He's pulling out things, and then Bankuru goes into his own window on the other side. I'm like, guys, you need to get out and everything. And eventually, but another thing that was also happening in that moment was that, thank you. Another thing that was happening in that moment was that my best friend had gotten hurt. So their window did not have. Oh boy. Sorry, Nana. Okay, come in. What's that? What's that? Oh, as we are talking, this one. Okay, it's fine. Sorry. See you later. Kisses. Okay, go. Go and watch 12 years. Kamisha, oh, arikumbora ndizomutaatira kinzima max ake anhingirikini arikumbonyararidza sister veda. Let me look for the pictures. So another key thing that was happening in that moment was that my best friend couldn't move. Now their window didn't have burglar bars, but yanga iri pane incline. So imba yacho yanga iri pagomo. So certain parts of the house anga ari pane incline. So when she jumped out of the window, she landed on her knee. And as she landed on her knee, she traumatized her knee. And well, we eventually learned from the doctor kuti anga asina kuchikoka gumbo. But in that moment, takatofunga kuti gumbo rachikoka. That's how bad it was. And we then had to, so now I had to, also, and then she had cut her arm, like she basically slit her arm where she punched through the window. She punched through it, and then as she was pushing away glass so that she could comfortably jump out, she cut her hand. And so she was bleeding, so we had to carry her to the nearest chair. Pampanima outside chairs, we had to carry her, put her by chair. And then from my bag, I found something to wrap around her hand. And then window because now she was in shock. So I found magumbeza to wrap around her, and she was just crying out in pain. Her leg was giving her complete pain, like the pain was unbearable. She was going through a lot in that moment. And yeah, it was, yeah, that's all I can say. It was quite a moment. But we are so grateful that everybody was able to get out of that fire. And we did lose a couple of things. I'm looking for videos of the house, but unfortunately, the phone I'm using is the phone that has the videos. But let's see if I can find. I want to see if you can see this. This is the aftermath of this is the lounge. Yeah, this is the lounge after it had burnt down. So, okay, my light is reflecting. I'm trying to, yeah, that's the lounge after it had burnt down. So everything, the sofas, the everything that was inside that house, chagatra, basically. Um, I also want to show you this video for context. You see that? That is our shisha. Yatanta is up aside pe ningrikin. Pe yatanta be mantu vatadzosa mumba. But this shisha is monumental. It's monumental. It's pivotal to a certain detail in the other parts of the story. So this is other parts of the house, and let me see if I can find other pictures because I did take. Oh yes, this is the house. It's actually a nice little spot, but as you can see, there's a. I was actually going to blog about it and just do a proper story time to show you that it was a nice place. The house was a very nice place generally because obviously kunyanga and things. So this was the rest of the house after the fire had been put out. Luckily, the roof didn't cave in, but I don't think that really changes much. Um, yeah, and I lost my house keys. Not my house keys, my car keys. So that's a picture of my car keys after the fire had been put out and we were able to retrieve my car keys. My Mercedes Benz car keys were left reduced to nothing but that. Yes, I was in Nyanga. This story happened in Nyanga at a B&B that my friends and I booked so that we could sleep there um, during the if you've just joined us, Taka survived a house fire, and we were in a B&B that we had booked to Thank you so much for blessing. There are different pictures of the house burning down. Unfortunately, they're in the group. I'd have to do a whole login to get in, so that's a lot of work. But yeah, there are pictures of the house actually burning. I'll upload them onto my Instagram so that you can have context. If you don't follow me on Instagram, look for Panashe Peters. So yeah, moto uri kubvira and everything. Kumba kwenyu ndekupi nhai? Dai ndaiziva mufunge dai ndakauya kumba kwenyu taisambobvirirwa nemba. But anyway, moving on. So my friend tabva tamukava nejira handiti ndobva anga achigwagwadza because it was cold and now she's got blood. I'd managed to patch up, but she's also got a leg riri kuita kunge rachikoka and we weren't sure what was going on. And then muridzi wemba ndobva asvika at around about that time because he anogara padhuze, so he then arrived, helped taisa helped nekuita I don't know something he was doing with the water and other things, and ndobva ati kuna driver wake tarisa kuti pane vakwara here, kana paine vakwara vaendesei kupi kuBonda hospital. So that's when my friend was taken to Bonda Hospital. So my friend and her husband then went to Bonda Hospital. So Inini and my husband, we're now just there. We're just, waiting. We don't know what to do. And I'm like, you know what? This is about to get ugly. Because in my mind, it immediately clicked. You know what? I say Nyamunga Kunanzi Kubepe Park. Just after the national park. Wow, okay, that's actually not bad. But then I needed to be closer to Kumshaked Kwahonde because isusu tinobva kwaGwiriri. This is a response to the comment, by the way. This tinobva kwaGwiriri, so Juliusdale was the closest, not even the best location, but it was the closest to Kumusha because it was still an hour's drive away. So going mukati tingadai takaenda kana kuTrodberg, but going kure kwesa would make it even longer to get back. It's tanchida also traveler Maneru and things like that. So I didn't want to be too far away, which is why Juliusdale became the best location. Anyway, Where was I? So now me and my husband are waiting. We're standing there, just thinking about, okay, what has just happened, Sichafamba say, and things like that. And my mind is now telling me, okay, at the end of this disaster, somebody's gonna now start thinking about what caused the fire. And in all of our minds, we all knew what had started the fire, but we also knew what else could be blamed for starting the fire, which is why I was saying that other picture of the shisha is pivotal. Now we get to the point where um, so at that particular that place, remember I showed you the house, so they also have a cottage. And then they offered us, you know what, you can take a bath, because tanga black chayo tanga mafesa yanga black mino dzanga dzine ngirikini black miromo black nenyaya yekuti tanchifema utsi, because we were trying to breathe saka pakuzama kubreatha paya inonzi chi tsito. It was actually, yeah, soot, tsito yanga yacho pachi on our faces and on our hands and everywhere. Everything smelled like terrible smoke. Pane chimwe chiwema changa chingoripo so changa chiri terrible zvekuti yeah, pamba kashata. And by the way, tichiri kufanira kuenda kunamo, because this is now day of the burial. So tiri kufanira kuita sei apa kina agara ari black. Now imagine Keen ari black but ane hutsi on top. So okay, we still had to go to burial. We still had to bury my grandma, and time zanza kutofamba at this point. So takabva taita sei takabva tapiwa pekugeza in the another cottage iripo paproperty iyoyo naiwedwe. And ndobva taita sei bva tageza. So as I'm bathing, I'm like, baby, do you think we should call a lawyer? So the thing is, these guys have a set of rules. And this rules is like, oh, one of the clauses in their rules is like, if anything bad happens to this house while you're living in it, it's your fault. And I'm like, they're going to blame this on me. And I'm like, but I know that it's not my fault. But they're still going to try and blame it on us. Do you think you should call a lawyer? And my husband was like, nah, it's never going to come back to, it's never going to come down to that. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, no problem. And then, okay, so this is me in my mind. And then ndobva tageza paya tapedza tageza tagara takufunga kuita sei because chimwe chinhu chatanchiti ingoonai kuti mutiwanire makey emota yangu so we can unlock it and get something from there toenda kunamo in the fire. So eventually they were able to get my car keys, the car keys which I showed you kuti ndoanga sara, this is all that remained but my car keys angu. So they were able to get me the car keys, and with this little lock I was able to unlock my car and get some things. But then tisataenda kunama wakabva ati the owner now, because he was there, akabva ati guy, hi. So he called Kim. So he's a nice guy. He's like, but my brother, I think it's something you did. It's something you did chakakonzesa moto. Then he pulls Kin over, and they are walking to the house from the cottage. It's like, yeah, because ndaona shisha, and shisha explode. I'm like, okay, ndiende kumba uko ndinonzwa kuti baba vari kuti chi. So I then walked behind them to go and hear what he was saying. So now remember I showed you in the video that there was our shisha. If you can see in this video. No, okay, that's actually cooler boxes. Those are cooler boxes. Angaka zara ma drinks and ese akatra moto. Tisatatombomwa ma drinks edu mfunge. Okay, let me find the. So he then said, taona kuti manga mine shisha mumbao. And shisha exploder. So here's our shisha pipe yanga burner, and that's what he saw. And then he immediately assumed that shisha was the cause of the fire. Zvikanzi shisha explode saka I think this is what started the fire, because yanga iri pacarpet. Iyo area ine shisha ndo area ine carpet. So ndo zvatiri kubelieve kuti zvakatanga moto. Ndikati hatisi takaita shisha yedu outside. Actually, at that point in time, we didn't tell him that the shisha kuti tantaitira panze. At that moment in time, we just told him, Kuti, it can't be the shisha because by the time yatantarara shisha yange yadzima. Now, let me tell you the actual cause of the fire. The the area, the lounge area, is where the fire originated. And remember, patakasvika panonzi pachi pa BNB takakumbira kubatidzirwa moto, right? Because this guy had said, pamunodzoka kana ndichiri ndakamuka I can come and batidza moto pamunodzoka kubva kunhamo, because takasvika tobva taenda kunhamo bva taita sei bva tadzoka ndopatakazomuti aita sei atibatidzira moto before the boys arrived. And the thing with this particular setup, or the thing that was wrong in this household, was that the fireplace yanga isina guardrail. Now you know that thing chinenge chibasket chiya chesteel chinoiswa kumberi kwemoto, chiguardrail chemoto, pampasina chinhu ichocho. And the fireplace was basically also like pampasina platform or anything, so it was just from the fireplace and then maybe tuma bricks mbichana, and then anything else the fireplace yatopera. So isusu takati haisiriyo shisha haisiriyo yakakonzesa moto, because patakazoenda kunorara, by the time we got to bed the shisha was yange yadzima, because you know charcoal yeshisha, if you've ever been around a shisha, charcoal yeshisha inopera, like it just turns to ash as it burns. So we told him that by the time we went to bed, the shisha charcoal had already turned to ash and mamsis nachin. So no, the shisha wasn't the cause of the fire. And now he was now saying, no, it was on the carpet, it could have fallen makarara. And we're like, no, still, there were no charcoal, there was no active charcoal in the shisha. It was your fireplace. And he says, how could it have been my fireplace? And I'm like, okay, your fireplace, number one, did not have a guardrail. Number two, the carpet was about 2 rulers away from the fire. So like I'm describing, kuti fireplace yake yanga isina guardrail and hapana chimwe platform chiombe. So it's just from the guardrail to my bricks, and then yakutoenda pa floor, and then not too far away patone carpet. And then ndozvatakamutsanangura kuti isusu we are suspecting kuti patantarara, because obviously taiisa moto kataisa huni moto, but I'm sure kuti patakarara pane huni yakazokunguruka ikabva yanomhara pacarpet. So that's what we believe started the fire, kuti pane huni, an ember, it could have been or it could have even been huni chaidzo dzakaexplode, anything, but we are pretty sure it landed onto the carpet, and then the carpet started burning, and then eventually everything else around caught fire until the house itself was on fire. So he was refusing. He was saying, no, it couldn't have been the carpet, because I make sure that the carpet is 1.5 meters away from the fireplace. Tikati, no, your carpet was not 1.5 meters away from the fireplace. It was about 2 rulers, less than a meter away from the what's it called, from the fireplace. And he could not believe it. Ndobati, all right, ngatidaidzani caretaker ndobva adaidzwa, ndobva anzi nabhosi wake, wanga wakaisa carpet papi? Saka isu tandamurakidza kuti apa, sekuti let's say apa panditi apa, let's just imagine that this curtain is the fireplace, iko kadistance akaka ndokanga rika distance apa pabva patoita carpet. Ndobva tavarongedzera kuti apa ndopambaine carpet yenyu. I'm just using my curtains in the background for reference, for visual for visual reference. But apa ndopambaine carpet yenyu. Ndobva, because yange yatsvaka by this point, remember ndakurakidzai picture video yepasisina kana chinhu pasi, so now tanda kungorakidza mapoints according to zvinhu zvatiri kuona nezvatiri kuremember. Zvikanzi iwe carpet yako yanga iri papi? Ndobva anongedzera pandanda vanongedzera kuti apa ndopamba necarpet yenyu apa. Zvikanzi takati chine nyaya yekuti yekuisa carpet. So iye anga achiti carpet yedu haifanira kunge iri apa, inofanira kunge iri apa. And ndiri kumudza kuti aiwa carpet yenyu yanga isiri uku, yanga yakaiswa apa. Caretaker ndobva yabva anongedzawo apa. Zvikanzi ndakakuudza vaniwo kuti carpet inofanira kuiswa inonzi 1.5 meters away. tukanzano ndakazongodecida kuinanganisa what akutanga kuexplaina akambopopotera kwekanguva ndobva ndofunga vakazorealiza kuti what hazvimeke sense kuti ndirambe ndichimupopotera mukomana uyu pamberi pavanhu aya, and then he let him go. And then in that moment takabva taona kuti he has accepted kuti that was the cause of the fire. And it was difficult for him to accept it, but then he had to, because it it then ceased to be my responsibility. Remember, pampane nyaya yakanzi yekunzi ngirikini imhosva yangu inini zita rangu ndoranga riri palise like the document, the contract yekugara pamba ipapo. So my name was on the contract, and they then said what's okay, so yes, it would be my liability if anything had happened to the house. And so this is why I was upfront and talking to this guy in person, because I wanted him to talk to me, because I was the one also in that contract. No Pampashinzi, if a house fire, if anything happens, you as in Indinese Darango, I'm responsible for telling my friends. So if we wanted to smoke, I'm responsible for telling my friends no smoke outside. If we want to do anything that's not allowed, bring visitors or anything, it's my responsibility to make sure that the visitors don't overstay. The visitors, if they sleep, I must now report to say, okay, taseta tuma visitors saka maufa na otibadarisa extra according to your contract, blah blah blah. It was my responsibility. And I think in the moment when he realized that the carpet is actually the cause of the fire, he then kind of accepted it. Because Tantatomboeta almost like a heated argument, and he was asking me the chronology, the sequence of events. He was asking me, what time did you arrive? What happened after you arrived? This, that. Where did you smoke? What did you do? Blah, 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 blah. And he was asking me, zvaizongonzi Kimberley zveshuwa mufunge ndaizongonzi ndakapisa BNB, and it would have been interesting. So chronology of events and everything. We were really getting into it, and he was explaining, no, it's your shisha and this, and I was like, no, it's not your shisha, it's your fireplace that doesn't have a guardrail. So eventually he let it go, and then didn't pursue it. He actually then decided to give us another place, because we had booked 2 nights, and he eventually actually gave us another place to stay, one of his other B&Bs, a little bit deeper and younger now, because tanta kunorara kwankwa kurara after the funeral, so we didn't mind going a little bit deeper into Inyanga. So he offered us a different place to sleep, and then we went to the funeral. And I was late, and my whole family is like, why were you Panashe wanga? And everybody was really mad at me. But I couldn't explain in that moment in a house fire. It wasn't the time to put myself in a spotlight. So I just said, no, patanchuya motedu yafa, yaswefa ikabuda road, and then shamari yangu yakwara gumbo. So I came up with some funny story. But I'm sure people could tell I was lying. And I'm sure people thought I was lying because I just decided to be late. But if they ever watch this video now, they'll understand why I was late. I don't know if it changes anything, but yeah, this is why I was late to my grandma's funeral, because I was dealing with near-death experiences. Yembe, takangopfeka idzodzo dzakachena, but dzanga dzichinhuwa hutsi kwete mbichana. There's so much to this story, and so many things that happened. So remember, I said and then we just dusted off some of our clothes, but majority of our clothes were black newoods, because the suitcase, my suitcase, and there was no reason to be closing suitcases and packing things. So our suitcases were open, and majority of our clothes were just black with smoke. So in response to that. So yes, I still had to go to the funeral. Got to the funeral, I was late, everybody was looking at me, where were you? And about 10:32, and everyone, Panashe nakamisha varikupi, And yeah, people were just really curious and just thought we were lying for whatever reason. But yeah, maybe after this video, they will know why exactly we were late. That aside, um, the owner of the B&B offered us a different place to sleep, and after the burial and after everything, in fact, before we went to the burial, we passed through Bonda Hospital where my best friend was being treated, and we just made sure she was okay. And then we told them, okay, you know what, okay, takwenda kunama. And they're like, yeah, please, endai ndo zvatafambira, endai munoiga gogo. And then we went, and then by the time yatakazodzoka vanga vatodzoka vakunhingirikini vaku, what's it called, at the new B&B that we were offered. And we were laughing when we got to the new B&B because that B&B also didn't have a guardrail on the fire. So it was just a funny moment here to guys, look, it's actually a trend with this property. But I hope they fixed it after this. So yeah, the guy was nice. He eventually apologized for all the inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. And on Monday, I then got a message from the booking agent. Hi Panashe, are you okay? We heard that there was a fire incident at this property. I just wanted to let you know that according to our contract, clause 6, what, and this, that, we realized that you had a shisha in the house, which indicates that you were smoking inside the house. And according to this, you were not allowed to be smoking. And as a result, your shisha started the fire. And this is the reason why we are going to, and subsequently or consequently, I don't know which word works there, you caused the fire and you are responsible for the damages. And I was like, okay. I thought we were friends because by the time we had left, the owner and the boys were now gelling. We even got a tour of other properties that we could visit at a later date. I'm like, I thought we were gelling, but okay, if this is how you want to do it, I'm going to have to explain to you thoroughly why this is your fault and why this is gross negligence. So I took my time as an English student that I am, and I wrote down a nicely detailed message in response. And I was saying, you know what? This is not the cause of the fire. I do understand that you assume that the shisha was the cause of the fire. However, we smoked outside, and when we were done smoking, the person who was closest to the shisha grabbed the shisha and put it next to them, which is why the shisha in the embers of the fire or in the ashes was now appeared to have been in the center of the room, and yet it was actually just located next to the person who had brought it inside. That being said, I would like to highlight that you guys did not provide certain basic safety measures to ensure our safety. Number one, your carpet was less than a meter away from the fireplace, which did not have any guardrails. And because of that, we believe that a log or whatever rolled off from the fire, landed on the carpet, and this is what started the fire. Number two, you did not provide any fire extinguishers, anything that would help, like smoke alarms, because in other places there are smoke alarms. If there had been a functioning smoke alarm, we would have woken up before the fire had gotten out of hand and turned off the fire or tried as much as we could to put it out. But you didn't have a guardrail, you didn't have a fire extinguisher, there was no smoke alarm, and quite frankly, you didn't do your part when it comes to ensuring that as a guest, I am safe, and to ensure that truly and fully, if anything happens, it is my fault and not yours. You didn't do your part. So I can only say that this is a result of your negligence and not my omission or action, according to our contract. And with that in mind, they were like, oh, well, they didn't reply. They just left it. They just didn't reply. But then I had highlighted that we were not taking any, we were not going to do anything about it. We just, hoped that they would do better in the future. And I actually said, I hope to have nicer stays with you at a later stage in the future. So basically, it was not like I made sure that the message was not hostile while firmly showing them that this was not my fault. So they didn't respond, and I guess maybe ndopakaperera sangano, maybe vane chavari kutirukira, I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's how that story ended, and we were able to come home safely. I was so happy I had not carried my baby because it would have been terrible. I'm traumatized by the smoke that I inhaled, and it took about 5-6 days for my chest to clear out. And I can't imagine that having been my baby, inhaling that amount of smoke. I would have probably just broken a window and thrown her outside the window at that point, because I don't care what other injuries should have gotten from being thrown out the window, but that's how bad it was. I would have thrown her outside the window. But yeah, that's all I can say. It was terrible. But I'm grateful that we survived. My friend is recovering. Her leg was not broken, luckily, but it did get a bit of trauma in her ligaments and muscles. So she actually is doing physiotherapy to help her heal her leg. There are a lot of things about this story that I've left out, but they're minor details. This is the fullness of the story. And thank you so much to the 15 people watching. This was an experiment and just a story time for my. Yes, we did seek medical help. We are still in the process of some of the treatments. So, yeah, we did seek medical help. Not immediately, but we did seek some medical help. And yeah, eventually zvimwe zvacho zvakazongopora zvega, especially like my sister maningiriki nake akazopora. It was painful for a while, but zvakapora. And yeah, I guess we are okay. So as I was saying, this was an experiment for this episode of Simple Conversations, where I was just giving my testimony on how I survived a house fire. And if you have any other testimonies, please jump onto the bandwagon of gratitude that I'm on, because I'm really in a season of gratitude after healing. And after healing and processing everything that has happened, I'm ready to come back. But I'd been ready for a long time. I just had to fix some things. And yeah, but we're back. Next week, we're going to have a guest. And it's going to be amazing, guys. Welcome back to Simple Conversations. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, and if you don't know what I'm about, please watch the videos, previous videos. We shall be together in the next videos that we shall be doing. Tambotandra, guys, thank you so much for joining. I really wasn't expecting to even have an audience because this was an experiment, but I just put it public just to see if anybody would join, and I'm so happy that you guys came through. Thank you so much for joining, and until next time, subscribe, share, like, and love you so much. Bye.